welcome to the Gym and Tonic Podcast with me, Tim Chase, and today's guest. Well, we don't have a guest, and why have we not got a guest? Well, to be honest, it's my fault. I have been a little bit lazy on organising guests, I'm afraid, and also getting Chris back on the show. So rather than waiting another week, because I believe it's been 2 weeks since the last episode, I thought I would jump on and do it solo. So if you're watching or listening to this and you think, do you know what? I do not want to listen to Tim talking for the whole of this podcast because, yes, that is one of my specialist areas, talking absolute rubbish for long periods of time, then you might want to tune off now and skip to another video or podcast. But if you want to hang around, then this may be the most exciting few minutes or insightful few minutes of your day. You never know, or even your week or your month. So I thought I'll jump on and keep the podcast running, as I said, on my own, and answer some of your questions. Now, before I get into the questions, what have I been up to? Because I know there's a few people messaging me all the time wondering what is going on in the world of Tim Chase and the Gym and Tonic Podcast. Well, what has been going on? So the last couple of weeks since I was last on, I've had a little bit of success back in the competing world, and no, I haven't been on stage. I have had some clients competing, which has been pretty damn exciting, really. I mean, when I think back to my last show in March, since then I've kind of lost the love for competing. You know, the kind of fitness, bodybuilding world, kind of lost a little bit of love for it. And I had a posing client who was competing on the weekend just gone in a fitness modelling show. And I got a little bit excited when he, dropped me a text and he came second in one category, third in another. Got a little bit excited. Annoyed he didn't get the win. So it was nice to have that kind of fire back in my belly. I'm thinking, why didn't he win? And he actually messaged me and said, if we'd done some more posing sessions together, he thinks he would have had that top spot. But never mind. Second is very good. I had another client I'd worked with last year who won the overall, which again was amazing because I'd worked with a lot of his posing last year. So, I can take a tiny bit of credit from that. And I had one client that I've been working with now for about the past 3 or 4 months. And I've been doing his training and his nutrition for him. And he went and competed. And I got a phone call from him on Saturday evening. And you know what? I have not been that excited in a long time. More excited with the phone call than I've been, competing or doing anything for about the last year. And he basically said that he'd won and he's now technically the world champion, which was amazing. So it was known as, I think it's modelling, it's fitness modelling, it's the tattoo category. And he is now the champion of the world. So when I got that, phone call, I didn't think I was going to be that excited. So it kind of shocked me that I'd got that fire back for competing. And I think it's just because I'm competitive. So, I like to win. Anyone who knows me knows that, I love winning whatever it is. And as you can see on this cup, it's a bit of rugby. I used to play rugby and I was very competitive, and I'm going to have to give it up due to injuries. I was devastated, and hence I am where I am today, back in that kind of competing world. So what else have I been doing these last couple of weeks? Well, I had a photo shoot. You may have seen it. If you haven't, check out my Instagram, Tim Chase Fitness. You'll see a couple of shots that I did with Mr. Matt Marsh over in High Wycombe at his studio. I basically did it as a little bit of a reset. So Mike, who was on my last podcast, he basically said to me in the gym that he was going to book a shoot because he's been getting a little bit crazy over lockdown with his eating and drinking. 1 drink a week ends up being 1 drink a night, which ends up being 10 drinks a night. You get the idea. For me, it was 1 chocolate bar ends up as 10 chocolate bars a night. You kind of get the gist. So, yeah, I set myself a little target of getting in shape for a shoot. And it's probably one of the best decisions, I've made to book a shoot. I think it would give me 12 weeks. And I wasn't crazy strict. Yes, I know people watching it are going to get annoyed because they think, how can you get in shape when you weren't crazy strict? But I kind of know what I'm doing, and I kind of know how my body responds. And just by putting myself in a bit of a calorie deficit, so by the end I was on probably 16 to 2,000 calories a day, which isn't a lot at all for someone who trains quite regularly and who's quite active. So I put myself in that calorie deficit, and it allowed me to have, a cheat meal here and there, eat out now and then, have a bit of alcohol now and then, and pretty much eat a little bit of what I wanted nearly every day because I was still in a calorie deficit every day. So I don't think that was probably the most optimal way of doing it, but I got into fairly decent shape without killing myself. So yeah, the shoot was a success. I managed to get my partner in front of the camera for the first time, well, probably the second time ever, but the first time since I've been with her. So that was, a big kind of stepping stone for her. And, when you look at people who compete on stage and when you look at people who do photo shoots, people think it's that kind of narcissism, that it's all just for likes on Instagram and it's just to make yourself look good. But it really is a personal goal. So you set yourself that goal. And I never really use any of the photos, half the photos, even though my Instagram looks like I do. For me, it's really about setting that target. And, that target of getting into, say, photo shoot shape. And it was the same as what it was for her. It was just getting, behind the camera and, ticking that box to say, I've done that, I've smashed it. The same as you would with maybe a Tough Mudder or a marathon. You set yourself that goal. And you're not really doing it for other people to say, well done, although it is nice when people say that. It really is for you to kind of give yourself that pat on the back and say, do you know what, I did that. And you can really take it to other aspects of your life, that kind of level of confidence and that, that ability to achieve things you put your mind to. You can do that with, business, relationships, with your personal life, your social life, whatever it may be. You really can take those skills of, putting your mind to something and overcoming hurdles and obstacles in the way and sort of smashing your goal. So yeah, did the shoot. It was awesome. And then after that, I haven't done this for ages, but I got to go and have almost like a cheat day, call it what you want. We had a day up London, me and my partner. We went to a pub in Covent Garden. We went to one of our first dates. And I decided it'd be a good idea to have a cider to start with, then a beer, then a double gin and tonic. So that was a very good way to start the day. You can kind of see this day went downhill pretty quick, or uphill, depending on which way you look at it. So we had a few drinks, really enjoyed myself. Haven't been able to do that for a long, long time. Obviously, lockdown I did, but when I've been prepping for years, haven't been able to just sort of let my hair down. After that, I went to Covent Garden. May have got some cookies from Ben's Cookies. If you don't know, Ben's Cookies are amazing, but these ones were not so good. They were not warm. But if you get a cookie and it's just, cold and feels like it's been out for a while, that was these. Then after that, we went to Flat Iron for a steak, which was incredible. And if you haven't been to Flat Iron, it's definitely worth going to. It's not that expensive. You get a nice steak. I got it medium, which was just perfect. And they give you a little mug of popcorn for starter, as you do. I got it with some sides, which, if you like cheese, the sides are amazing. I hate cheese. So that kind of sums up the sides. But the chips were lovely. But the sort of sweet potatoes, which were Dauphinoise style. Dauphinoise? Is that? It's not very... I don't think I pronounced that quite correct. And what do we have? Aubergines, and they were covered in cheese. A bottle of wine, standard. And then for dessert, they give you a free ice cream, which was pretty epic. Anything free is epic. Then we went to Donut Time. If you don't know, you need to know about Donut Time. They are all over London, very similar to donuts in the Midlands. But yeah, Donut Time. If you're listening to this or watching this abroad, get to London and get to Donut Time. Trust me. And I had... what the hell was it? I've got to tell you, because if you're in London, you've got to try this donut. I'm not going to find it now, am I? It was called Caramel Kardashian. I want to find it while I'm talking, because it was worthy of you checking it out as well. In fact, let me find a picture. So I went Donut Time, had a few extra calories there. Couldn't help it. Then went to a place called Bounce, which is like a table tennis club, which again is worth going to. There's one in Old Street in London. That was pretty damn epic. And then we ended up in another crazy place called Nightjar, which I'd booked, which was for cocktails. And that was pretty cool as well. So I got one of my favorite cocktails, which is a zombie. And they basically put a cake on the zombie and they poured brandy, which is on fire, onto it. So a zombie's got 3 types of rum. So this is the zombie. I found the zombie, if you can see that. Flaming zombie. That was pretty damn cool. And yeah, I was basically breathing fire for the whole entire evening. And where is my donut? You've got to see this. sorry if you're listening, you won't be able to fully appreciate it. While I'm following that donuts in the brain, that cocktail bar was amazing. They did so many cool cocktails. We had one that looked like it was in a coffee cup. Obviously the zombie. There was one with, there was these ones. These are pretty damn cool. And then there was one with candy floss on as well, which was, put it bluntly, absolutely horrific. So yeah, go to Nightjar, check that out. And donut time, here it is. I don't know if you can see it. There it is in all its glory. It was, to put it bluntly, absolutely goddamn incredible. Anyway, enough talking food, although it is, kind of related to the podcast. As I said, I'm going to be talking rubbish. So that was an epic night. I wasn't too drunk. The next day I woke up and it felt like someone had smashed me between the eyes. So that was good. So yeah, had a great day in London. May have talked about that a little bit too much in case you didn't know it was good. And I think that was it for the week. I'm working with, I suppose loosely working, affiliated with a new company called Novo Nutrition, which is a company that does protein wafers and protein chips. So I'll put a link in the description to Novo Nutrition. And basically someone said, would I be interested in working with them? And I didn't know much about them. I did a bit of research and I thought, you know what? Protein chips, protein crisps for the English people, protein wafers, that is a bit of me. Like, I am all about convenience. So I've tried them and they are pretty damn unreal. Cheese ones, cheese crisps can go in the bin, everything else, unreal. The wafers, incredible. So I will be staying sort of affiliated to those guys alongside my role for Love Hemp still, which is, the cannabis CBD company that I am affiliated with, and also the liquid egg whites from, I was about to say Dr. Zach's, but Dr. Zach's do not exist anymore, for Easiec. So I'll put all those links below. But yeah, I think that's been pretty much my week. So I set myself some new targets, a new sort of plan going forward, because I've been a little bit, to put it bluntly, shit in the gym and with training. And since I kind of stopped competing, I've not really had that focus and that drive and that goal, hence the photo shoot. And now I'm on low calories and I don't really know what I'm doing myself. What on earth am I doing? So I basically thought, you know what, it's coming up to winter. Let's try and put a little bit of muscle on. I know it sounds a bit stupid, but I thought let's just make the most of winter, push the calories up slowly. And I'm going to actually do a reverse diet with the aim to maybe just add a little bit of muscle in areas that I'm, not as muscular in, maybe the side of my shoulders, my quads, my hamstrings, that sort of thing. And also focus on my mobility, stretching, that sort of thing, and also my cardiovascular fitness. So it's going to be very sort of small, lean gains. But the main thing is to kind of give me that focus again, because I've been, lacking focus. So one of the questions I get all the time, and that's a question I want to answer now, is kind of how do you go about writing a nutrition plan? So I do this all the time for my clients. If you are interested, then please just drop me a message, drop me a DM on my Insta, or drop me an email at timchasefitness@gmail.com. And I will happily talk to you about nutrition plans. But I basically wrote a nutrition plan for myself. And it was based on a combination of what I need and what I want, because I honestly feel like the best nutrition plan for you is the one you're actually going to stick to. So if you have foods, if you go to a coach or you write yourself a nutrition plan and it's like, let's say it's white fish and a rice cake and you hate both of them, then you're not going to stick to it. So I would say write a plan for yourself, or stick to a plan that is that combination between something you need and something you want. And what do I mean by something you need? So you're going to need a nutrition plan that is pretty varied. So you're not eating the same foods every day, and you're getting a good, selection of carb sources, protein sources, fat sources. So for example, in my kind of basic baseline nutrition plan, fat sources, I've got an avocado in, not whole avocado, I've got like half an avocado. I've got the yellows of eggs. I've got some mixed nuts. I've got some dark chocolate. I've got some low-fat mayonnaise, I think. What else? Some extra virgin olive oil. So just a few good different sources of kind of healthy fats, and also some red meat. So some good healthy fats. We're not going crazy on these, but there's one egg in there. There's a couple of teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil in there. There's a square or two of some dark chocolate, like 90%. So there's a good blend of fats in that diet. So that's kind of what I need, but I'm not putting in the fats that I don't like. I'm putting in things that I also want. So I also want to have oats in the morning and at night, because I love starting then end of the day with a bowl of oats, because I'm an absolute saddo. So I've given myself that. I also thought, what do I fancy post-workout? Well, I don't fancy drinking. I hate, drinking calories. So I thought, well, I'm going to be rushed as well. It's normally tight between when I finish training and work. So it's going to be hard to eat a meal. So I thought, let's go for that kind of happy medium. Neck a shake for your protein. Then I'm going to have, I think, half a bagel as my carb source to start with. So I wanted a bagel, and that's for me is probably the easiest time to fit it in. So yeah, I've got that kind of blend of what I want and what I need, which is nice. And I've done a high day for training days and a slightly lower day for rest days. And if you're interested in what my calories are, then at the moment they are going to be severely low because I'm reverse dieting. So the high day is going to be 2,000, low days 1,800. That is just for the next few days. So I'm going to see how I get on with that for maybe 3, 4, 5 days. And then hopefully we'll be able to push them up by 200-300. But I don't want to go crazy. I also want to give myself a cheat meal or a refeed once a week, because I want to be able to actually eat a meal that is like kind of off plan, that is, kind of a free meal, I suppose. And I give myself an extra 1,000 calories once a week. So that works out at about an extra 150 calories a day, roughly. So really then that's actually not 2,000 calories a day, it's 2,150. You get the idea. So that one cheat meal, and I just want that because it's nice to look forward to it. I know I'm not dieting, but it's nice to have a meal where I can say to my partner, let's just go and have a meal out, let's cook a meal in, and let's just have a little bit of what we fancy, have some ice cream, whatever it may be, have some chocolate. Because what I've been doing recently is I've been under eating for 3, 4, 5 days, and then I've been severely overeating, like severely, because as soon as I get that taste of chocolate or sweet food or sugar, I am the trigger has been pulled and I'm going mad. And it doesn't help that my partner is Italian, so everything is homemade. And when I say like there's a lot of food, there is a lot. Like we could feed like hundreds of people. We're talking bin bags full of chocolate, like tons of it. We could do giveaways for the whole year, probably every day, and there'd still be some left. The only problem is you've got someone over here that used to do eating and relatively competitively. So I'm pretty good at finishing food off. So I don't have an off button. I don't get full. So I can kind of keep eating. I reckon I probably could do most of what they have in their store in one evening, which is probably going to be about 20,000 calories. So I'm going to try and stop that and stick to this new nutrition plan. So I kind of hope that gives you an idea for your own kind of nutrition plan. And people have asked me what my sort of goals are long term. I don't really have any right now when it comes to training, but it is, like I said, just put that little bit more muscle tissue on and stay relatively lean, not where I'm at now. I'm obviously going to put a little bit of body fat on because it's not healthy, but relatively. So yeah, I'm going to try and reverse diet and, gradually push the calories up. Now, if you have done a shoot or a competition or anything, even if it's like I can't really say wedding or beach, because it's not really happening right now, but if you've done a period of dieting, your body doesn't want to be at that level of body fat, that low level, and it wants to be a lot higher. So your body's going to keep sending you signals saying, eat, and you're going to want these high calorie foods. Now, you can eat massive and put on serious weight after a period of dieting. So I put on 8 kilos in about 5 days after my shoot. I brought half of that, if not more of that, back off now. But it can go like that, and you can put on 15, 20 kilos so easily. So I would say try your best, if you can, to do some sort of reverse diet. Potentially don't use my line, which is I'm reverse dieting, just really fucking quickly. But I have done it in the past where I've just gone the calories straight back up. But I would like to push them up, and I think an ideal number for maybe myself would be 3,500 a day. That's taken into account me regularly training. I've also set myself a new training plan, kind of a plan. I've planned when I'm training and what I'm training, and the kind of session outline, but I haven't actually put in the nuts and bolts because I'm quite an intuitive trainer. I like to train by kind of how I feel. And I feel that if I set myself a set plan, it probably won't take place. Let's say, for example, I set myself a weight session that's going to take an hour and a half. and like today I only had 40 minutes, then that has to change. And I'll either get really stressed out because I'm not doing my plan, or I just go, do you know what, I'm just going to do whatever I've got time to do. So I may superset things or tricep things, or, don't do a top heavy working set. Maybe just do, instead of doing a few, sets to work up to my working set, my first heavy set, maybe I'll just jump in and do 20 reps of set one on a lighter weight. So it's like a part warm up, part set one. So I like to train a little bit intuitively. Like if I've got time, then I'm not going to be doing 6 to 8 reps because it's going to take too long to get to that weight. I'd rather just jump on, like I said. The same, if I'm not got time, I'm not going to be starting to load up a heavy deadlift. I might just jump on like a row machine where I can just put a pin in and take it away. I also train in a lot of different gyms, so it is very tough to kind of program. So yeah, that gives you a little bit of idea with where I'm at with training and nutrition, and gives you a bit of an insight into why people may reverse diet and sort of how it's possible. So a lot of questions relating to where I'm at. So someone's asked, what is the best training split for hypertrophy, which is basically a nice scientific word for gaining muscle tissue. So what is the best training split? Now, if you've never heard of the term training split, this is basically how you would split your week up. So traditionally people take the piss, but it's like Monday's chest day, International Chest Day. Tuesday may be, back and biceps. Wednesday may be legs, then you may rest. So basically over the 7 days, you're probably training 3, 4, 5 times. The rest of the time, obviously you're resting, and you tend to hit each body part with a sort of pure focus sort of once. I mean, obviously, you're doing an arm day, your arms are being hit when you're doing shoulders, chest and back, but you're going to have one day focused to arms. So that's kind of what a training split is. And someone asked me, what's the best for gaining muscle tissue? Now, the most popular split at the moment that seems to be going around the fitness circle sort of is the kind of push-pull leg split. Push being anything where you are pushing weight away. So generally it's a shoulders, chest and tricep session. The second session being a pull, so back and biceps, and the last session being like a leg dominant session. So it's pretty obvious, quads, glutes, hamstrings, calves, that sort of thing. And this, people tend to do this sort of maybe 3 days on, 1 or 2 days off, and then repeat it. And you may have the same session. Every push might be the same. We may have 2 different push sessions, one like higher volume, one lower volume. I've tried a lot of these over the years, because I've been training for maybe like 16, 17 years. And the other style is what they tend to call like a bro split. So basically this is like what would have originally be called like a 4 or 5 or 6 day split. So for me, it was always a 5-day split. So basically splitting your body into 5 parts. Now, how I always split mine for hypertrophy was I would split that. I would choose how many days I want to train over 7 days, just to give myself that structure. So I wanted to train for 5 days. I would do a body part split. I wouldn't normally do sort of push-pull legs, but I would normally choose my weaker areas and do them twice. So let's say I want to bring my legs up, I might do 2 of the sessions will be legs, and that would then leave me 3 other sessions. So then I could do 2 leg sessions, and then I could do, let's say, shoulders, back, chest, and then throw my biceps, triceps, abs into those other sessions. So potentially it could be something like, legs on the Monday, and it could be a quad focused leg session. Tuesday could be, shoulders and triceps. Wednesday could be back and biceps, and I might rest, and I might do a leg session focusing on hamstrings, and then whatever the hell was left at the end, was it chest and abs? You get the idea. Or I might say that my biceps are weak, so I'll hit them again. So predominantly I'd pick 2 or 3, or maybe 1 or 2 body parts that are weaker. So, it might be, let's say, shoulders and biceps, and I would make sure I hit them at least twice through the week. There was times I was leaving body parts kind of out as well for a while. So that's been my preferred method at the moment. I'm doing like I said, the most kind of current popular one, which is a push session, a pull session, a leg session, and then resting. So my current split for anyone who wants to give it a whirl would be day 1 is a push style session, but not with triceps. So I basically do shoulders and chest on the first day. Now, the reason I do that is because I prioritize my shoulders. I want my shoulders to grow. So I do shoulders with a bit of chest. I really do half the amount of chest I do shoulders. Then I'll do a leg session on the second day. I'll probably do a bit of abs with that as well. And then the last day is normally back and arms. Now, the reason I'm putting back, biceps and triceps together is because I'm not so massively focused on my back growing. And I'm also not interested in my chest growing much. So shoulders is the first one. That is the area I want to grow the most. And then I throw chest on the end. Legs I want to grow so they get their own session. And then back, I'm not too massively, don't really care too much, but I wanted to grow a little bit. So back first, and then I smash the hell out of biceps because I want them to grow, and a bit of triceps because I want them to kind of stay the same size. So you kind of get, the gist. Then I'll rest, and then I will repeat that. One of the first 3 sessions, so the first sort of cycle of push-pull legs, or push, legs, pull with a bit of triceps. The first sort of round of 3, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for example. I'm doing these as more of a kind of heavier focused session. So I'm working up to a heavy set of 8 to 10 reps. I'm not going below 8. I would love to, but I've got too many injuries, knees and hamstrings. It's just not worth me going any heavier. Plus I train on my own. So I work up to a top heavy set, and then I'll do 1 set as like a back off, which will be a higher volume set. And I'll do that on probably 8 different exercises. So let's say, for argument's sake, for the shoulder and chest, I may do 5 shoulder, 3 chest, 4 shoulder, 3 chest. You get the idea. 6 and 2, something like that. I just train how I feel on the day, with that kind of style on each session. On each exercise. I'll normally start with something like a lateral raise because I want to build my width on my medial delts, and so my mid delts will get a big pasting on lateral raise, and I'll probably do 3 sets on them. So I might do 2 heavies or 2 volume, whatever, but you get the idea. And then the second set of 3, so once I've had that rest, so days 1, 2, 3, 4, so then days 5, 6 and 7, is that right? 1, 2, 3, yeah, you get the idea. Second set of 3, 5, 6 and 7, yes, which takes me to the end of the week, will get slightly higher volume. So I will start with a set of about 10 to 12. I use slightly different exercises. So I might use a cable lateral raise instead of a dumbbell, but similar movements, a dumbbell shoulder press instead of a Smith machine shoulder press. You get the idea. So similar movements. I'll do a heavy set of about 8 to 10. And then I will, at the moment, I'll then do a second set. Will be like a tempo set. So 5-second eccentric, keeping the tension in the muscle tissue throughout. And then I'll do a third set, which is just the same weight and just pumping the hell out of it, getting blood in there. I just like to vary my training from heavy to volume to throwing a few extra sets in there, maybe throwing like a Widowmaker or cluster sets or muscle rounds. Or drop sets or rest pauses, all these different overload principles I like to just throw in, at the end, just to really, make my training exciting, but also shock the muscle and keep it nice and intense, especially because I train on my own. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I think in answer to that question, what is the best training split to add muscle tissue? It's whatever works for you and whatever you like. Again, with the same as nutrition, you need something that you're going to be able to stick to, but you do need something that is intense. And if you haven't got someone to train with, it's going to be hard to push those sort of 5, 6, 7 rep sets to failure and through failure. Again, we could argue about should we go to failure on another day. But yeah, it's hard to keep it intense on your own. So I like to, keep it varied, keep it interesting, and put these little extra, bits on the end of some of my sessions and some of my sets, like the drop sets, the rest pauses, that sort of thing. Next question is very similar, volume or frequency. So volume being the total amount of sort of sets or reps, and frequency is how often you are training a muscle group. Now, this again is a question relating to increasing muscle tissue. So again, it depends. I could argue the toss for whether frequency, training a muscle more regularly, like let's say 3 times a week, versus the amount of volume. I always change my mind on this. At one point, I thought, well, it's all about the frequency, hitting, let's say you want to build your shoulders, hitting the shoulders continuously, like Monday, then 3 days later, 3 days later. And then I changed my mind, thinking it's the overall volume in like a week, for example. So if you do, let's say you do 10 sets of shoulders on a Monday and 10 sets on a Thursday, that's a total of 20 for the week versus just doing 20 in one session. I really think I just think it depends now. And I think for my body parts I want to grow, I will do slightly more volume on a session and hit them slightly more frequently. But you really got to go by, how you are recovering. A lot of the, top bodybuilders at the moment they seem to be hitting sort of like 12 to 16 working sets. Now, I think I could do that if I was training with someone and that those sets were horrific. But I struggle. So for me now, I kind of work between sort of 16 and 24 sets, slightly higher. But I think a lot of those sets, we'll say a lot of those, maybe my 16 to 24 sets, those extra sort of 8, they could be technically known as sort of junk volume, just extra volume for the sake of doing it, because it makes me feel better, makes me feel like I'm doing more. But yeah, I would say when I'm trying to bring up a weaker body part, I would probably hit it twice a week. So that is slightly more frequent, and I would probably have slightly more volume. So working sets, let's say I want to bring my shoulders up, I may put on, let's just say, for example, like on a lat raise movement, a movement to hit my sort of middle delts. Maybe I'll hit, 4 to 6 sets on that exact movement in a workout. Maybe 2 exercises that target, like a wide upright row and a lat raise. I may do that twice a week. So that's still only 12 sets over the week. So yeah, be more though than I'm hitting on, let's say, like a fly movement or a chest movement. Because obviously that's just for the middle of the shoulder. I've also got other movements for the shoulder, things like a press, which is going to bring in the medial delt as well. So yeah, it really does depend. But yeah, I would say slightly more frequent. You could probably go to 2, potentially 3 times a week for weaker body parts that you want to bring up, and just hit them with slightly more volume. So as I said, for shoulders at the moment, I do 5 to 6 exercises of about 2 sets per movement, which seems to be sufficient, but it depends on how much time you got and how badly you want it as well, and how much you're eating and how you're recovering, how you're sleeping, and there's a lot of factors going in. And if you're natural, unnatural, you get the idea. Loads of factors, and what supplements you're taking. Would I ever try CrossFit again? So I did CrossFit twice, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. I'm not even lying. I was going through a bit of a mad phase in my life. It's not an excuse, but it is what it is. And I joined a CrossFit club for a month, or CrossFit box, sorry. It's for the CrossFitters out there. And yeah, we did. Well, I went down to try it out. I was meant to be given like the beginner session. Just got thrown at the deep end, and they basically just smashed the hell out of me for 2 sessions in the first week. I then went and did a normal classic bodybuilding session, and I thought my hamstring had come off. Like, genuinely, I was in that much pain. I felt something go, and I couldn't walk for a week. And what it turned out to be was that when I was doing these movements in CrossFit, I had pinched my sciatic nerve in my lower back, which had been triggered then when I was doing hamstring curls in the gym, and it literally just, the nerve had obviously got pinched. And that was a combination of doing a lot of movements I wasn't used to, heavy deadlifts, heavy, I think it's American kettlebell swings, clean and presses, snatches, you name it, we were doing them. And my lower back had obviously just completely tightened up. So would I ever go back to it? Potentially, but I would really need to start at the beginning and find a club, I keep calling it a club, find a box where the trainers know that although, yes, I'm strong and I look strong and I'm fit and I've got a good level of determination, I'm probably not going to quit, that I need someone to scale me back down and say, you're not going to move to the big weights, you're not going to move to the crazy wads until you've mastered the basics. And I'd have to work on mobility a lot, because I'm carrying a ton of injuries from rugby, and they've just got worse with bodybuilding. Bodybuilding hasn't injured me, I don't think, but it's, a lot of the scar tissue that I never had, I never dealt with from when I was younger, is still there, and it's probably just getting worse and worse. So I'm basically just a ticking time bomb. So, lifting weights in a straight movement, like a leg press or a squat, whatever it may be, is pretty easy. But as soon as that comes to jumping around, nah. But we did do a workout the other day at work. We did like a team workout which involved jumping on and off the assault bike for about 20 minutes, which was like 15-second sprints every like 2 minutes. And I thought I was going to have a heart attack, I'm not going to lie. But I felt really good after it, really, really good. And we did a few other bits with the ski erg and squats and benching, and I had a good workout. I really did. I felt like I'd kind of blown a few cobwebs off, but I don't think I'll go back to CrossFit. Although I started watching on YouTube the CrossFit Games, I think they're from this year. They are with like Matt Fraser and that. They are phenomenal. I'm just watching the first event, and I think it was like a 1,500 meter road to start with. That would finish me off, and then it was a combination of like 10 muscle ups and I think it was 7 push presses. I can't think of the weight, but it's irrelevant. The push press would have probably been okay for me, but 10 muscle ups and doing that 5 times around, nah. I want to do 1 muscle up, and that would be my lot. And I'm not even joking. I don't even know if I could do 1 muscle up now. I haven't tried. Again, I'm just scared of doing any movements like that. And, coming up onto the bar and popping my elbow, popping my shoulder, because they're really fun until I pick up a niggle. And then that takes me out for months. I did skipping. So I started skipping in lockdown. I think I've said this before. And on like day 3 of skipping, I was getting the hang of it. Still pretty rubbish, not going to lie. And I felt something in the back of my knee, kind of go like that. It doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel nice. So I stopped. Next day I woke up and that's just niggling now. And then over the next 2-3 days, my knee just swelled up. And I'd apparently had a little tweak in the back of my knee. I think it's a popliteal muscle. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that had caused major swelling in the knee. But that knee has been clicking and giving way for about 3 months now. It feels slightly better now. But I said that last time about a month ago or 2 months ago, and I came back, went for a run, and my hamstring then pulled pretty severely. Then my Achilles was hurting as it was related to it. And then you think about 4 weeks ago, then my inside of my knee, my MCL decided it wanted to play up as I was going up the stairs. So that has been agony, but now that is better. So I need to learn. At the age of 33, maybe CrossFit or skipping is not for me, but never say never. I don't like quitting. That reminds me, I got invited to do the British Eating League, I think it is, competitive eating. So if you don't know, I've done quite a lot of sort of eating challenges, got a couple of records in different restaurants over the years, which have probably been beaten now, but I was pretty impressed at the time. I got pretty good at it. The only problem is eating, 10,000 calories in one sitting isn't that great for your digestive health, your gut, for, modeling or competing. And it's also not great for my clients, when I'm promoting a lifestyle of binging, basically, because it's not a good kind of message to be sending. So, yeah, I've had to turn that down temporarily, but who knows? And we haven't had a lot of questions, but the last question I've got is, will I ever compete again? And I'm assuming this is relating to the old bodybuilding fitness physique game. So my last prep, if anyone followed it, it was, horrendous. It was March 2020, so earlier this year. And I prepped from about November time. It was about 16 weeks, so you can do the maths. About a 16-week prep through Christmas, through New Year. It was tough. I made it to the stage just about, and it was horrific. And the most horrific part about prep, as well as it costing a lot of money to pay, for your food, your supplements, all the rest of it, coaching and, entering shows, as well as that costing money, it's physically and mentally exhausting. Now, I'm not putting competing down at anyone who competes down, but it is a lot harder than you think it is until you've done it yourself. It is hard. And I've done 20 shows now. This doesn't get any easier. It was so tough, this prep. Yes, I got really damn lean. But I think it was so tough because I was working 5 days a week, probably like 40, 50, 60-hour weeks, including my coaching. And it just burnt me out. I was just a mess, starving the whole time. And the real kind of thing for me that made me think, enough is enough for me, was those last sort of 4 weeks. A few things happened. I just thought, this isn't right. My partner asked me to go around for dinner. My family were cooking dinner on a Sunday night, like 3 weeks out. And they were like, yeah, we're going to do it really clean for you. I was like, nah, I can't come. But, and they're thinking, why? It's all healthy, home-cooked food. And I'm like, well, it's just not what I need. I just need my scales and my chicken and my salad or my broccoli, whatever it is, and whatever else, my rice, and that's all I need. I just couldn't get myself to go out and try other food through fear of it, messing my whole diet up. And my head was such a mess that I was like, no, I just need my cutlery, my plate, my sauce, my everything. I just couldn't face going out and sort of socializing and almost having to answer as to why I was doing what I was doing, because in my head I'm thinking, why am I doing this? So that was the first thing. There was a couple of other things, I can't think what they were off the top of my head, but there was one that I was like, this is it, enough's enough. One of my best mates asked me to go and help him move some furniture. Basically, his nan, I think, had passed away, and he needed help emptying her house. And it happened to be 8 days out from my show, and I was like, don't think I can do it. And I was free. I was working all day. I was working 8 till 5, I think, or 8 till 6 in the day, and it was that evening he wanted help, and it was about an hour from my house. So yes, it was, it was a little bit of a commitment, but if you'd asked me now, I'd be 100%. I'd be there. Someone's passed away. Someone needs help. My best mate needs help. Of course, I'm going to go there. And I was just like, I don't think I can do it, because I knew I was in prep. I knew I was 8 days out. I was like a zombie. I had to even survive work, let alone go and help someone move furniture. I was like, I can't do it. I'm really sorry, I can't do it. And it was that moment I thought, this isn't good enough. Like, this is not good enough. I've had to say no to a meal. I've had to say no to someone who needs help. I'd also had to push my partner's birthday from January to April. We're going to celebrate in April. Mother's Day got pushed back to, I think, June. As a result, they all got cancelled anyway because of the lockdown. But a lot of things were getting pushed back, and I was just like, this is too much. Everything is suffering. Family, work, relationship, everything. I was just being so unproductive towards the end, and I was like, right, enough's enough. And then I did my first show, and then I had a show 2 weeks later, which was the proper show where I could turn pro. And I was grinding like a week out. I had an eye infection, like a sty. I had a sore throat. I had nose. It was a time when COVID was hitting, and I thought, well, if I get COVID now, it is game, set, and match for me. I don't even know if I can get through this. I genuinely thought that's it, lights out, if I get it. But I was so focused on the show. And then obviously lockdown hit, and I carried on trying to train at home, and then the show got cancelled 5 days out, and I was like, I'm done, retired. So that was why I stopped competing. Now, having seen the shows back on, having seen my good friend James Hollingshead just qualify for the Olympia, I'm now really excited for that. Having a client that just won, I'm now, getting the bug back. I'm like, this is exciting. So will I ever compete again? I said never. I don't know anymore. I've got a few friends, very good friends, that are looking to compete next year. So first things first, let me get my head back into some training, some eating. Don't want to put any pressure on myself. If I promised myself if I ever did go back into competing, that it would be for fun. It would be as a hobby. And I think I'd actually probably do better because I'd be taking it as a hobby. But, I'm getting old, and I've got other things that I potentially want to do with my life. But having the structure of the training and nutrition plan that I'm putting into place, I think is the first step I need to take before I even contemplate doing anything extreme like another prep, because trust me, guys, it is hard. Like, it's easy doing it to get to a good level, like as in like to look good, but to look crazy shredded for stage, it's another level. So who knows? But at the moment, nah. I think that is it for all of the lovely questions. I've got no one else to ask, as you can see, to kind of say, if they've got any questions. I think I've been recording for a fair amount of time now, probably sick of my voice. But yeah, really appreciate you kind of listening. Drop me any questions over to my DMs, or just chuck them below in the comments. I will be back next podcast with a guest, because I have nothing more to add. But it was nice just to have a little chat with you guys without, having to ask someone else what they're doing. I can be a little bit selfish. And if you're wondering what the t-shirt is, this is from Metroflex, which is one of the first bodybuilding gyms, or it was the first bodybuilding gym I joined, and I'm currently a member of there now. It's South London, so I kind of train there. I train at My PT, where I'm the manager of. I've had a couple of sessions recently at King's Gym, which you probably heard about. Where else? I've had a session at a Snap 24, a Welcome Gym. So I'm kind of just, traveling around gyms. because I'm still a little bit unsettled as to where I'm going to be living. So just traveling around and doing the do. But anyway, whatever you're doing, have an amazing week, and I will see you all at the next podcast.